So in this example, we're going to do matrices and review. So to start, we want to go ahead and solve for the value of b. So to do that, I would recommend substitution because if you don't do substitution and you do elimination, the b's are actually going to cancel. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. A minus b equals 7. And I'm going to go ahead and solve for b. So I get 7 plus b. Then I'm going to take this data and I want to put it into this equation. I'm going to substitute it. So I get 2, and instead of writing a, I'm going to write 7 plus b. And then plus b on the outside equals negative 1. Distributing, I get 2 times 7 is 14. I'll just move it down here. 2 times b is 2b. Plus a b equals negative 1. So as I add, I get 2b plus 1b is 3b plus 14 equals negative 1. Subtracting 14, I get 3b equals negative 15. So b is negative 5. And in this problem, I actually don't care about what a is. It just wants to know what the value of b is. So the correct answer is a. Number 2. I would recommend to this problem to do elimination. You want to know what the value of x times y is. And remember, the most important thing when you're doing problems like this is to stack them on top of one another. So then you can see elimination a little bit clearer. So right here, I will cancel. X plus x is 2x equals negative 4. So x is negative 2. Then I want to solve for y. So I'm going to plug it into this first equation because I want to kind of use when y is positive to make it a little easier. So negative 2 plus y equals 1, so y is 3. Our answer is x times y, so I'm going to have negative 2 times positive 3 for negative 6. Again, option A. On number 3, it wants to know the value of x. So our goal here, when it wants to know just the value of x, that means that we kind of want to kick out y immediately. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2, so the y values will cancel because I already have a negative. So I'll rewrite that here. I have 4x minus 2y equals negative 16. Bring down 3x plus 2y equals 2. Add down 7x, y's cancel, equals negative 14. So x is negative 2, which is option B. So when you're doing problems like this, look for basic elimination problems. Now on the matrices, I'm just going to do the evens because I think it's going to be easier. It's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of the same, plugging into calculators, things like that. So I'm only going to do the evens for the matrices just to save us some time. So this problem wants us to solve for the variables. So all I'm going to do is distribute x in here. And then I'm just going to cross it out. To solve this problem, I would set up a bunch of different equations. So looking at this problem, I have 2x, and then I have 8 over here, which means 2x has to equal 8. 2x has to equal 8. Well, obviously, x is 4. Okay, x is 4. Next, I'm going to try to solve for y. So looking here, I have x times y equals 24. So x times y equals 24. Well, x is 4, so 4y equals 24. Dividing by 4, I get 6. Lastly, we have z, and we can notice that z is located here in the bottom left, which means, which means we have 7x here. So 7 times x has to equal the value of z. So 7 times 4 is 28. So the value of z is 28. So all we're doing in a problem like this is actually utilizing our matrices knowledge of how to read a matrix to kind of solve for the variables. So number 8, I'm going to do this all in my calculator. So let me zoom out for you. Just to save us time, we can totally do it by hand, but honestly, it takes a lot of time. So I'm going to go into math, into the matrix, sorry. I'm going to edit. This matrix is 2 by 2. Then I type it in exactly how I see it, pressing enter after each piece. Go back into the matrix, and now I want to edit B, so I'm going to make the second one B, 2 by 2, so 27 negative 9, 54, and negative 18. Make sure that you're hitting enter after every time. Go into the matrix. Now be careful. Sorry, I almost forgot. This is 3/2. So 3/2 is, or 3/4 is being multiplied to matrix A plus 2/3 being multiplied to matrix B to give us an answer of 24 and 3. So this matrix is a 24, 3, and 3. You could do this another way if you really wanted to. You could type in a parenthesis around the whole thing if you're not sure. You can always do that when you're working with matrices. So if you're not 100% sure about the parentheses, you want to make sure that the matrix goes together, you can always do it that way. You'll get the same answer. Okay, next one, number 6. Sorry, I know I'm jumping. I'm just kind of going down. So from here, same idea. Let's do this one by hand. How about that? That way we've got options. Half of 6 is 3. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 12 is 6. Half of 24 is 12. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And 44 divided by 4 is 11. Now I subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. And 12 minus 11 is 1. So there's an example of distributing fractions by hand versus calculator. That way you kind of got an example of each. All right, moving on to back. Number 14 is a multiplication one. I know it's a little hard to see through, but multiplication is a pain. I want to do it in my calculator. So all that pen behind there, that's okay. The matrix for number 1, this is a 2 by 1. So hopefully you're noticing if your matrices don't match, because if they don't match, you're not going to do them right. You want to make sure that when you're typing that you're writing the right dimensions. That's very, very important. So I'm going to go into the matrix. I'm multiplying my 2 matrices together. And this is my matrix I get out. So I'll write it to the left. How about that? That way it's a little bit easier because the pen isn't behind the paper. So we should get negative 70 and 80, 28 and negative 32. Now, if you're confused by how the matrices got that size, remember this is a 2 by 1 and this is a 1 by 2. In order to multiply, these have to match, and what's left becomes the new multiplied matrices dimensions. So that's why it's a 2 by 2 matrix. It's how we multiply matrices together. All right, number 12 and 16. So to do number 12, again, we go into the matrix. We go over to edit. This is a 2 by 3. You will always know if you do it correctly because it will look like the matrix. Like if this doesn't match this, you know that you've done it wrong. Quit out, going back into matrix B. This is a 3 by 2. Remember, you can just hit enter and it will work. You can always arrow down, but you want to make sure that the matrix matches. Okay, I'm going to quit out of that, go back into the matrix, and multiply. So I get negative 29, negative 31, 24, and 30. Number 16, sorry, I'll move over here. Same idea. Notice how these are very repetitive. It's a lot of typing into the calculator. So that's kind of why I'm just doing the evens, because the pattern and the repetition is the same. Okay, go back in here. This is a 2 by 2. Okay, I'm just typing all my values in, quitting out, going back in, and going back in. So for number 16, we should get negative 18, negative 1, negative 10, and 1. Okay, let's do some other problems other than matrices. So this is some just kind of review. So it says the following chart represents the final course grades for students in 2 different math classes. It wants to know what fraction of these kids received either an A or B. So whenever you're doing probability, the total is always on the bottom and the outcome that you want always appears on top. So my total is how many kids are in these math classes. So you just add 5 plus 15 plus 20 plus 3 plus 2, which is 45. We want to know A or B. So that means we're accepting the 5 A students and the 15 B students. So when we add 5 plus 15 is 20. Then when I simplify, I can pull out a GCF of 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, 45 divided by 5 is 9. So 4/9 is option D. All right, let's do some matrices. So this is done by hand. You can do it in your calculator if you really want to, but this is just an adding problem. So I'm not gonna waste my time really, or a subtracting problem. So I'm not really gonna waste my time typing it in. It wants to know what A minus B is, and we're looking for the value of Z. So Z is located here. So that means I should focus, not on that one. I should focus on this one and this one. Not this one. I highlighted the wrong one. So I'm going to have 4 minus 1, which is 3. So 3 is the value of Z. All right, the next one is multiplication. You can do it a couple ways. You can do it in your calculator or do it by hand. We only care about the value of X. Well, to get this term, I'm going to do it by hand first. So to get that term, remember you multiply the first row by the first column. So I would do -1 times 6 plus 2 times 7. Well, -6 plus 14 is 8. So it's option C. Remember, -1 times 6 plus 2 times 7. That's how you get the first term. So the answer is 8. I will show you how to do this in your calculator as well. Again, it's just a lot of typing. So I'm going to go in to the matrix. I'm going to edit. It's a 2 by 2, so -1, 2, 4, and 8. Clear out, go back in, edit this one, 2 by 2. Okay, quit out. Matrix A times matrix B. I'm looking again for the X value, which is 8. So by hand, that problem actually took less time, but that's okay if you're doing it in your calculator, but I just want you to know that you can definitely do matrix multiplication by hand, and it is a little faster sometimes. 21, what is this expression? This is distributing. Also, this is the difference of squares. As you can tell, you have the same and the same. So the difference of squares looks like this. That is the difference of squares. Now, if you didn't recognize that, all you would do is distribute. So x times x is x squared. X times a is positive xa. Negative a times positive x is negative xa. Negative a times a is negative a squared. These cancel, and you're left with x squared minus a squared. So this is a time waster problem if you don't recognize that it is the difference of squares. So the correct answer is B. 22, which of the following inequalities has to be true? I would solve this inequality first. So when I add 5, I get P is greater than 3. Then I would literally just solve every single one of these problems. So right here on E, which is the correct answer, if I subtract 5, I get P is greater than 3, which matches the original. So E must be true. Okay. So this problem says the sum of a number n and 4 is 10. So n plus 4 is 10. So n is 6. What is the value of the sum of n and -1? Well, n plus -1. 6 plus -1 is 5, which is option C.